Behind the glittering facade of Hollywood lies a sobering reality that has claimed the careers and often lives of some of entertainment's biggest names. From the golden age of cinema to modern times, alcohol addiction has remained the industry's most persistent demon. Through extensive research and interviews, Behind the Fame presents a haunting look at 15 legendary performers whose battles with the bottle serve as cautionary tales. These stories span generations, from Humphrey Bogart's whiskey-soaked sets to Charlie Sheen's public meltdown. We witness the tragic descent of promising stars like Gail Russell and Lindsay Lohan, the devastating fall of icons like Judy Garland and Bernard Lee, and the premature deaths of talents like Heath Ledger. Their collective struggles reveal an industry where alcohol abuse has been normalized, celebrated, and ultimately destructive. Join us for this revealing exploration of Hollywood's dark relationship with alcohol, where Oscar-winning performances contrast sharply with off-screen battles, and where even the brightest stars can be dimmed by addiction's relentless grip. 1. Humphrey Bogart, 1899 to 1957. While portraying tough guys on screen, Bogart fought a losing battle with whiskey off-screen. His daily consumption included a bottle of whiskey before noon, affecting his performance and health. Despite maintaining his iconic status, his drinking caused frequent on-set delays and confrontations with directors. The hard-drinking image he cultivated in Casablanca reflected his real life, though the consequences were far less romantic. His addiction contributed to the esophageal cancer that killed him at 57, his body ravaged by decades of heavy drinking. Studio executives frequently covered up incidents where he was too intoxicated to film, costing productions thousands in delays. His premature death robbed Hollywood of one of its greatest stars and served as a stark reminder of alcohol's deadly toll. 2. W.C. Fields, 1880 to 1946. Fields turned alcoholism into comedy gold, but the reality was far from funny. His famous quote, "I never drink water because fish make love in it," masked a serious dependency that eventually destroyed his health. During filming, he kept gin in water bottles labeled pineapple juice, often becoming increasingly incoherent as shoots progressed. His red nose and bloated appearance, while part of his comic persona, were actual symptoms of advanced alcoholism. By his 60s, Fields suffered from delirium tremens and severe liver damage. Despite doctors' warnings, he continued drinking until his death, his comedy masking the tragic reality of addiction. His final years were spent in isolation, his wit dulled by alcohol's devastating effects. 3. Bernard Lee, 1908 to 1981. Known to millions as M in the James Bond films, Lee's battle with alcohol eventually overshadowed his considerable acting talents. His drinking caused numerous production delays during Bond films, with scenes often requiring multiple takes due to his condition. Despite his prestigious role, Lee's addiction led to financial problems and health issues. In his later years, he was often too drunk to remember his lines, requiring cue cards for even simple scenes. His death at 73 was attributed to alcohol-related illness, ending a career that might have continued well into the 1980s Bond films. The contrast between his authoritative screen presence and his private struggles with alcohol illustrated addiction's power to destroy even the most composed exterior. 4. Gail Russell, 1924 to 1961. Russell's tragic story epitomizes Hollywood's dark relationship with alcohol. Originally discovered for her extraordinary beauty, she turned to alcohol to combat severe stage fright and anxiety. Despite early success in films like The Uninvited, her drinking led to multiple car accidents and embarrassing public incidents. Studio executives tried interventions and rehab, but her addiction progressed until she became unemployable. Her final years were spent in poverty, her once stunning beauty ravaged by alcohol. She died alone at 36, found surrounded by empty bottles. Her promising career and life cut tragically short by addiction. Her death sparked discussions about Hollywood's responsibility to protect vulnerable young talents from industry pressures. 5. Spencer Tracy, 1900 to 1967. Tracy's brilliant career constantly teetered on the edge due to his alcoholism. Studio heads assigned minders to keep him sober during filming, but his binges could last days, causing expensive production delays. His long-term relationship with Katharine Hepburn was partly defined by her efforts to control his drinking. Despite multiple attempts at sobriety, Tracy's addiction contributed to his declining health and strained relationships with his family. Even his 9 Oscar nominations couldn't protect him from alcohol's devastating effects on his health. He died at 67, his body worn out by decades of abuse. His story demonstrates how even Hollywood's most respected actors aren't immune to addiction's destructive power. 6. Bela Lugosi, 1882 to 1956. Horror icon Lugosi's battle with alcoholism was as dark as his portrayal of Dracula. His addiction, combined with morphine dependency, led to increasingly erratic behavior on set. Directors struggled with his inability to remember lines, often filming scenes in fragments. Despite his iconic status, Lugosi's later career devolved into poverty and B-movies as his addictions made him unreliable. Studio executives stopped offering leading roles, reducing him to parodies of his famous character. His final years were spent in cheap apartments, his elegant Dracula persona replaced by a trembling addict. He died broke at 73, his legacy tarnished by decades of substance abuse. His descent from horror icon to cautionary tale exemplifies addiction's power to destroy even legendary careers. 7. Lon Chaney Jr., 1906 to 1973. The Wolfman star's alcoholism cast a long shadow over his father's legendary legacy. Chaney Jr. EE's drinking problems caused frequent on-set incidents, with many scenes requiring multiple takes due to his intoxication. His addiction led to typecasting in increasingly lower-budget horror films, unable to escape both his father's shadow and his own demons. The pressures of living up to the Chaney name drove him deeper into alcoholism. By his 60s, cirrhosis and other alcohol-related health issues had taken their toll. He died at 67, his once promising career reduced to B-movie appearances, proving that even Hollywood dynasties aren't immune to addiction's curse. 8. Albert Finney, 1936 to 2019. Despite his remarkable talent, Finney's career was repeatedly disrupted by alcohol abuse. His drinking binges became notorious in British theater circles, often leading to missed performances and canceled shows. Even after achieving Hollywood success, Finney struggled to maintain sobriety during filming. His weight fluctuated dramatically due to alcohol consumption, affecting his casting opportunities. Though he eventually gained control over his drinking in later years, the decades of excess had already impacted his health and limited his roles during what should have been his prime. His battle with alcohol, while less publicized than others, demonstrates how even highly respected actors can struggle with addiction. 9. Broderick Crawford, 1911 to 1986. After winning an Oscar for All the King's Men, Crawford's career spiraled downward due to alcoholism. His drinking led to weight gain and increasingly belligerent behavior on set. Directors struggled with his unpredictability, often filming early in the day before his drinking began. Despite his talent, Crawford found himself relegated to television guest spots and B-movies as his addiction made him unreliable. His once commanding presence deteriorated into a bloated caricature of his former self. He died at 74, his promising career long since derailed by alcohol. His descent from Academy Award winner to minor television actor serves as a powerful warning about addiction's career-destroying potential. 10 Gig Young, 1913 to 1978. Young's battle with alcoholism led to one of Hollywood's most tragic endings. Despite winning an Oscar for They Shoot Horses, Don't They?, his addiction caused increasingly erratic behavior and career decline. Studios became hesitant to hire him due to his unpredictability and drinking on set. His personal life deteriorated alongside his career, with multiple failed marriages and financial problems. The tragic culmination came when, in an alcohol-fueled state, he murdered his fifth wife before taking his own life. His death at 64 shocked Hollywood, transforming his story from a cautionary tale about career destruction into a horrific example of alcohol's potential to trigger violence and tragedy. 11. Marlon Brando, 1924 to 2004. The legendary method actor's later years were dominated by alcohol abuse and compulsive eating. Despite his iconic status, Brando's drinking contributed to erratic onset behavior and weight fluctuations that damaged his career. During the filming of Apocalypse Now, his alcoholism caused numerous delays and conflicts with director Francis Ford Coppola. His once athletic physique became bloated from alcohol and overeating, limiting his roles. Studio executives struggled with his unreliability and mood swings, often caused by heavy drinking. By the 1990s, personal tragedies drove him deeper into addiction. He died at 80, his final years marked by health issues directly related to alcohol abuse. His decline from Hollywood's most influential actor to a reclusive alcoholic demonstrates how addiction can tarnish even the greatest legacies. 12. Judy Garland, 1922 to 1969. Garland's tragic relationship with alcohol and pills began during her teenage years at MGM, where studio executives gave her drugs to manage her weight and energy levels. Her addiction intensified through multiple failed marriages and career pressures. She often appeared drunk during performances, leading to canceled shows and damaged relationships with promoters. Despite her immense talent, her unreliability made her increasingly unemployable. Multiple suicide attempts and hospitalizations marked her final years. She died at 47 from an accidental overdose, her body worn out by decades of substance abuse. Her daughter Liza Minnelli later described her as a walking advertisement for not becoming addicted to anything. 13. Lindsay Lohan, 1986, present. Once Hollywood's most promising young actress, Lohan's career derailed spectacularly due to alcohol and substance abuse. Her drinking led to multiple DUI arrests, failed drug tests, and 6 stints in rehabilitation facilities. Movie studios became unwilling to insure her due to her unreliability and legal troubles. Her public intoxication and erratic behavior became tabloid fodder, overshadowing her early talent. Despite attempts at comebacks, her reputation for alcohol-related incidents has permanently damaged her career prospects. Her story serves as a modern cautionary tale about fame, addiction, and the devastating effects of early exposure to Hollywood's drinking culture. 14. Heath Ledger, 1979 to 2008. While Ledger's death was officially attributed to prescription drug overdose, his increasing alcohol use contributed to his decline. Friends reported his drinking intensified during the filming of The Dark Knight, as he struggled with insomnia and anxiety. His combination of alcohol with prescription medications created a dangerous cocktail that ultimately proved fatal. He died at 28, just months before his Oscar-winning performance as the Joker was released. His death highlighted the dangers of mixing alcohol with other substances, even when prescribed by doctors. His tragic end at the height of his career demonstrates how quickly addiction can claim even the most talented young stars. 15. Charlie Sheen, 1965, present. Sheen's public meltdown while starring in 2.5 Men became a textbook example of alcohol and drug addiction's destructive power. His drinking contributed to violent outbursts, bizarre public statements, and eventually, his firing from television's highest-paying acting role. Despite earning $1.8 million per episode, his addiction led to financial problems and damaged professional relationships. His infamous winning period demonstrated alcohol's ability to distort reality and judgment. Multiple stints in rehabilitation have produced mixed results, while his career never recovered from his alcohol-fueled public implosion. His story represents one of Hollywood's most public battles with addiction, serving as a warning about alcohol's potential to destroy both career and reputation. These 30 stories, spanning nearly a century of Hollywood history, paint a devastating picture of alcohol's destructive power in the entertainment industry. From Broderick Crawford to Lindsay Lohan, from the silent era to modern blockbusters, the pattern remains disturbingly consistent. Careers destroyed, lives cut short, and talents wasted, all due to addiction's relentless grip. As we reflect on these cautionary tales, remember that behind each headline and scandal was a human being fighting a desperate battle. The glamorization of drinking in Hollywood continues to influence new generations of performers and fans alike. If these stories teach us anything, it's that alcohol addiction shows no mercy, not to talent, not to beauty, not to success.